the Bengals and the Broncos play football, and once again, the Cincinnati Bengals fall apart without Joe Burrow. Now, I said here, Jake Browning is not going to be so bad that the season is over for the Cincinnati Bengals. I pointed out that when Burrow last went down for a significant amount of time in 2023, this kid started 7 games, won 4 of them, went 4-3. And now the Bengals were finally not in an 0-2 hole to start a season. They're now 2-0 rather than 0-2. From that base of operations, just being 1 game over 500 would give him a 10-7 season, and thus a possibility of having more than just a lost season, to say the least. Certainly if Joe Burrow is coming back in the middle of December, if the 3 months time period that we're hearing from everyone in the NFL media for his surgically repaired toe is in fact an accurate amount of time that he would miss, he'd be back in the middle of December to take on the Ravens, who are so banged up, who might not have Lamar Jackson this weekend, and they're 1-3. They're a game behind the Bengals. So dare I even say right now that the season is not over, despite the Cincinnati Bengals, since Joe Burrow went down, scoring just 13 points over their last 2 games, and the defense from last year showing up while they're waiting for the Browning of 2 years ago to show up. And now suddenly that 0-2 start that they didn't have at 2-0 has arrived, just in the form of weeks 3 and 4 rather than weeks 1 and 2. And Joe Burrow's not walking through that door. And Jake Browning appears to have 0 time to throw the football. 0. The same offensive line that everybody's saying needed improvement for Joe Burrow, and where is that reinforcement of that very crucial position group in front of Joe Burrow? Where is that emphasis? It's not as if they haven't done a thing. It's not as if they've got pikers up front. They just can't block. They can't block, and Chase Brown, who you know I adore, doesn't have a single second to breathe. We're not getting any running game of which to speak. And you heard Troy Aikman sum it up last night that the running game, that Burrow's not had a running game, not had any protection up front, not had a defense. And it's like, Joe, you have 2 world-class receivers, go win football games. And that was the plan for the Bengals, and has been the plan for the Bengals for the most part since Burrow came off the campus with 60 touchdowns in his final season of LSU. And now Burrow's gone. How's that plan working? Well, it's gone so well that Jamar Chase is now going up to his coach in the middle of the game. The HC camera's catching Jamar Chase going up to him. And you know when receivers do something like that in situations like these, now comes the conversation about how things are falling apart. Jamar Chase in this football game, guys, this is the way fantasy leagues go down for you. Certainly when you draft him first overall, but this is reality football. Jamar Chase got targeted 5 times, 5 catches, 23 yards, and for an average of 4.6 yards. Usually this guy moves chains, not just put you in position to stay on schedule when he catches the ball. Usually scores touchdowns. Higgins, 3 catches, 32 yards. Chase Brown out of the backfield. This is what's supposed to be happening with Jake Browning, is let's set up screens, let's set up this stuff. 3 catches, 31 yards. The Broncos defense deserves a lot of cap tips and salutes on this sort of thing. But that doesn't help the situation when somebody's going up to Jamar Chase's locker after the game.
Tough to say, man. Honestly, you know, we go out there and we lay eggs sometimes. We're not capitalizing on the downs when we get opportunities. When it's second and third and 1, third and 2, we got to capitalize on those. Get the ball moving downfield so we can keep the play going.
Do you think there's enough urgency in this team?
Urgency's there, man. It's just we gotta want it. At the end of the day, we gotta want it. You know, today it didn't look like we wanted it.
Well, that doesn't sound very good, does it?
Hey.
Doesn't look like we wanted it. Okay, Coach Taylor, you're on the clock now with this sort of stuff. He was asked about the exchange that he had with Jamar Chase. Chase said it was about essentially the series that had just failed on offense. It was just specific, compartmentalized to that. What about the coach?
Coming off a game like this is one of my favorite players to deal with, quite frankly, because he's just competitive and he just wants to win, and it comes across as emotional. But that's just a captain that works his tail off. All he wants to do is win the game. All he wants to do is affect the game, and oftentimes he feels like if I have the ball in my hand, I can do that, and I don't disagree with him. And we're always looking for ways to get him the ball. Obviously, sometimes for him, he can't see what's going on in the backfield and some of the challenges that we face back there. But I love Jamar. He's when I'm done coaching, he will be one of my all-time favorites for the way that he has. How many years has he been here? 4, 5, 5. For the way that he has. I wouldn't say matured because he was never immature, but just the way he's become the total pro that you want leading your football team and competing in practice and competing in games. I can't say enough about him, and I'm sure if that interaction was on site, it just comes from a place where I want to help the team win. I can help the team win, help me help the team win, and I love that about him.
Can they can they go to the store and get some sandbags and throw them behind the offensive line and start? That's how you shore things up a little bit. Might be tough to run through them.
Yeah. Just
I don't listen
reinforcements.
Because that's a big part of the problem. A big part of the problem. Sometimes you saw the Broncos just rushing 4 and getting there.
Yep.
And
they got home with 3 once.
Sometimes, I mean, Browning threw, and then the penalties as well. I mean, Browning threw a beautiful ball to T. Higgins on the sideline at one point. That got wiped out. Yep. Here's some good news, though. I'm going to give you the glass half full, as you always know that is my default.
I love that about you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, Chris, because I'm not changing.
Yeah.
Why would you?
Well, I only know one speed, as you see when I run the 40-yard dash, okay? We marathon, we don't sprint. Obviously, in this week-to-week league, we overreact. It's an overreaction Monday on a Tuesday. That's coming up later. The Bengals, as of right now, they're going home. Hasn't looked good. It's looked terrible. There's no other way to put it. Me sitting there saying, hey, Jake Browning's got this. So far, not a great take. Not a great take. But they're 2-2. They're in second place in their division. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and you look at the, say, Buffalo Bills. And I only use Buffalo as an example because they're the team that's 4-0, the only undefeated team in the AFC. You look at the Chargers, you look at that sort of echelon. And normally you'd put the Ravens in that mix. The Ravens are behind them. Can you catch the Steelers? Can you beat the Steelers? Are they more beatable than the other teams that I just mentioned? I believe so. And I think their path, their good path, is we know if I'm sitting here and saying, hey, the Patriots at 2-2 have a nice shot at the playoffs. A 2-2 team is a good, again, base of operations from which to move forward. So they're not 0-4 and they're not 1-3. They're actually just 2-2. 4 of their next 5 are at home. Look at that. And then there's a bye. 4 of their next 5 are at home. And that, you got to assume, is going to be better than the last 2 games when they're going against Brian Flores blitzing his mind out and the Denver Broncos defense and Vance Joseph, what we just saw. The problem is their next game's against Detroit, which usually isn't what we would call a get-right game.
No.
It's sometimes a get-lost game. And then they're at Green Bay. That's their one road trip. They're at Green Bay, where we may find out the Packers are a much better team than what we've seen on the road from them the last 2 weeks, where they're winless like a hockey team, 0-1-1. Then they got a short week game against Pittsburgh that I would call must win. I would call a must win at that point in time if they're going to have a season. After that, they're home for the Jets and the Bears. Teams that if they go and give this kid some protection up front and get Chase Brown some balancing act on offense type runs. You get the Jim Mora senior drop from years ago, Mike? Should have told you to have it ready. I'm just going to repeat it one more time from here.
Season is not over.
I may prove to be on a hill that I should be getting the hell off of right now. Because the defense looks brutal outside of Trey Hendrickson, who's going to rush the passer. Other than that, they've looked a little bit green in the middle of the defense as well. Let's give this just a little bit of a beat.
Can I give you the glass half empty?
I know what you go ahead and say what you texted me
I'd be
last night.
shocked if they won 4 games
Now,
this year.
I'll push back on that.
Where, if you look at the schedule, where are the wins?
I just
Who can
told
they
you.
beat? The team that showed up last night and that can't block anybody
the
and can't
team-
defend anybody. Who do they beat? The Jets can at least score points.
The team. Oh, okay. When they're not, pre-snap procedure penaltying their own heads off.
They at least put the ball in the end zone.
Brother, I'm just going to say this. The team that showed up last night is a 4-win team. I think they're better than the team that showed up last night. And I think being at home will do wonders. And at some point, Jake Browning's going to have the game that I think they're capable of allowing him to have. How does that sound? But it is kind of brutal to watch right now. I'm not going to lie.
For sure.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.